Salvete omnes. This is chapter 44, purpose clauses, exercise C. Number 1, your instructions are to read the sentence aloud in English and then translate the sentence into Latin. Number 1, we sent the boys to the town to watch the games. We sent the boys to the town to watch the games. So the main verb is we sent. We did this action. It's going to be past tense. First person plural, we sent, of mitto, mittere, misi, missus. We sent, so perfect tense. That's the third principal part. Misi, chop off the I to get the perfect stem mis. And then we sent, I is the it, imus, missimus. We sent the boys. Boys is going to be the accusative plural masculine of puer, pueri, masculine. We want the accusative plural masculine. It's the direct object of the verb sent. So pueros, pueros. To the town. We sent the boys to the town. We sent the direct object, the boys, in the direction, motion towards a place, to the town. That would be the preposition ad, ad, odd, plus the noun town, which is oppidum I neuter. So we want the accusative of oppidum I neuter, and that's going to be oppidum. So ad oppidum. So something like pueros ad oppidum missimus, and then to watch the games. This is our purpose expression. This is our purpose clause. This is an explanation why we sent the boys to the town. We sent the boys to the town so that they may watch the games. In order to watch the games. We did this. Why? For the purpose of watching the games. Now, you may use either an adverbial purpose clause, where the clause is an explanation, why, as to the verb, the purpose of the verb send, or you may choose to use the adverbial flavor, the relative purpose clause, introduced by the relative pronoun qui, quae, quod. That flavor will give the purpose of the antecedent, meaning the boys. It's what you send the boys to do. What's the job of the boys? What's the purpose of the boys in going to town? It's to watch the games. So either answer. We have our introductory clause, which, by the way, what sequence is our introductory main clause? What sequence is that? Well, if the main verb is present tense, future tense, or future perfect tense, or present subjunctive, or an imperative, then the verb in the dependent subjunctive clause will be in the present subjunctive. But, and that's called primary sequence. But if the main verb is a past tense, either imperfect, perfect, or pluperfect tense, then the verb in the dependent subjunctive clause will be in the imperfect subjunctive. The imperfect subjunctive. That's called secondary sequence. We have secondary sequence right here. We sent, it's a past tense, perfect tense. So pueros ad oppidum missimus. And why did we do that? The adverbial kind, ut ludos spectent. Ut ludos spectent. So ut, so that they may watch, spectarent. Spectarent. We want the imperfect subjunctive spectarent. Ludos spectarent. Ut ludos spectarent. That's the adverbial kind, introduced by either ut for the positive or ne for the negative. However, we could also use the adjectival kind, introduced by a relative pronoun. Now the antecedent, who's going to have to watch the games? Well, that's going to be the boys. So plural masculine, and then this is going to be nominative inside the clause, because the boys are the ones doing the action of the verb. They're the subject. So qui ludos, who might watch the games. Qui ludos spectarent. Qui ludos spectarent. We're just replacing ut with the relative pronoun, qui, quae, quod, and the relative pronoun must agree with its antecedent. Here, that's boys in gender and number, not necessarily in case. So all together, we have something like pueros ad oppidum missimus ut ludos spectarent, or pueros ad oppidum missimus qui ludos spectarent. Optime. We have sentence 2, secunda sententia, sententia secunda. I had sailed many miles to come to this place, because I had hoped to find my brother here. So I had sailed many miles to come to this place, because I had hoped to find my brother here. So I had sailed. Main verb, I had sailed, of navigo, navigare, navigavi, navigatus. I had, that is first person singular, pluperfect, active indicative. I had sailed. So take the third principal part, navigavi, chop off the I, we get navigav. Add the pluperfect endings, eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratus, erat. Navigaveram, navigaveram, first person singular. I had sailed many miles. Many miles, it's not the direct object, although it will be accusative. This is the accusative of extent of space. It shows the space or distance traveled by the verb. So the action of the verb, the sailing, how far did that action extend? How far did that go? And it went for the accusative of many miles. So we want the adjective many, multus to agree with miles. Now, miles, the way you say miles in Latin, a mile equals 1,000 paces. Passus us masculine, fourth declension noun. So we want a mille passus is 1,000 paces. Mille passus. Now, if you want more than 1,000 paces, more than 1 mile, mille passus, you can't use mille anymore, the indeclinable adjective. You have to use the noun millia, millium, neuter plural. Its forms are millia, millium, millibus, millia, millibus. You want the accusative, millia, that means thousands. Multa millia, accusative plural neuter, that's the accusative of extent of space. Navigavaram, multa millia, and then it's thousands of paces, of paces. So the noun millia must be followed by a partitive genitive to show thousands of what? Of paces. So the genitive plural of passus us masculine, of paces, is passuum, passuum. So multa millia passuum is many thousands of paces. That equals the English many miles. To come to this place. Why? Why had I sailed many miles? So that I might come to this place. So this is our purpose expression, so that I might come to this place. The main verb is pluperfect tense, so we are in secondary sequence because it's a past tense. That means that our verb in the dependent subjunctive clause, venio, venire, veni, ventus, that must be in the imperfect subjunctive. So that I had sailed many miles so that I might come to this place. So navigavaram multa millia passuum ut, so that I might come, venirem, it's venire plus the m, so that I might come to this place, to this place. You can go ahead and say ad hunc locum, to this place, ad hunc locum, because I had hoped to find my brother here. Now, so that, because I had hoped to find my brother here, we want a causal clause, quod, because I had hoped. We want another pluperfect, first person singular pluperfect of spero, sperare, speravi, speratus. So quod speravaram, because I had hoped. Remember that spero, sperare, speravi, speratus, to hope, though it will take an infinitive in English, it does not take a complementary infinitive in Latin. It takes an indirect statement. So a sentence like, I had hoped to find my brother here, must be rendered into Latin as, I had hoped that I would find my brother here. So indirect statement time. Don't be fooled by this looking like a complementary infinitive. It needs to be a future infinitive in indirect statement. I had hoped that I would find my brother here. So speravaram, may, we need the accusative of ego, may, because the subject of the indirect statement must be in the accusative case. So don't say ego, because I had hoped that I would find my brother here. I is the subject of the indirect statement. May, would find, we want the future infinitive because it's an action that will happen subsequent or after the hoping. I had hoped in the past last week that I would at some point in the future find my brother. So you want the future infinitive, invenio, invenire, inveni, inventus. So take the fourth principal part, inventus, chop off the us, we get invent, add the urus aum, inventurus aum, must agree with may in the accusative singular masculine, inventurum esse, so quod speraveram me inventurum esse, that I would find my brother, meum fratrem, easy accusative direct object of meos frater. Here is just hic, the macron over the I, hic. That's the adverbial form, here. Remember that here is an adverb because it answers the question where. And where is an adverb? Where? There, here. Those are adverbs. Optime, tertia, sententia tertia, sentence 3, sentence the third sentence. The consuls, departing from the city, left a tribune and 2,000 soldiers to be for a guard to the citizens. So we have the subject, the consuls. Nominative plural masculine of consul, consulis masculine. So we have the consules. Departing from the city. Here we have a participial phrase. Departing is not the main verb. The consuls departed and they left. That's not what the sentence says. It says the consuls, departing from the city, left a tribune. The main verb is left. The consuls left a tribune. So this is the main verb right here. The participle departing is showing an action that is happening at the same time as the main verb because it's a present participle, ends in ing. So we take the verb depart, add ing, departing. It shows an action which is happening at the same time. Now, participles are verbal adjectives. They come from verbs, like depart, but they agree with nouns, like adjectives do. So the noun that the participle departing agrees with is consuls. So if consules in Latin is nominative plural masculine, the participle departing must also be nominative plural masculine, and it's a present active participle. Pick your verb for to depart, to leave. I'm going to choose discedo. Remember discedo, discedere, discedi, discessi, discessus. Discessi, discessus. That takes ab plus the ablative of separation to show movement away from. It does not take an accusative direct object. Discedo is an intransitive verb. So discedentes, present stem disced plus ens entis. Discedentes must be nominative plural masculine to agree with the consules. Consules discedentes ab urbe, ab plus the ablative of separation of orbis feminine, ab urbe. Consules ab urbe discedentes, they left. So not the same verb as, they didn't like leave a place, they left an accusative somewhere. This isn't the same verb as depart. This is the same verb as to abandon, to leave something behind. So they left an accusative direct object tribune and an accusative direct object 2,000s of soldiers. So this is relinquo, relinquere, reliqui, relictus. So they left, perfect tense, we're in secondary sequence already. So the consules reliquerunt, reliquerunt, the third plural, perfect of relinquo. It's active indicative. Discedentes ab urbe consules reliquerunt a tribunum, tribunum, accusative singular masculine of tribunus e masculine, a tribunum, et 2,000s of soldiers. Just like we had many miles, many thousands of paces, here we have 2,000s of soldiers. So we need milia, because it's more than 1,000. Milia. 2, duo milia, and then the partitive genitive of soldiers. So we need the accusative direct object duo milia, plural neuter, duo milia, militum, the genitive plural, partitive genitive of miles militus masculine, militum. And we want these guys to be for a guard to the citizens. Hopefully you paid attention last year to your dative of purpose and dative of reference, and by their powers combined form the double dative. For a guard, to be for a guard. All this is the word for guard. Here it's going to be praesidium, praesidi, neuter. It's going to be in the dative, praesidio, praesidio. And then the dative of reference is going to be the dative plural, civis, civis, masculine or feminine, civibus. Praesidio civibus. Praesidio civibus. So altogether, something like ab urbe discedentes, tribunum et duo milia militum praesidio civibus consules reliquerunt. Optime. Quarta. Sententia quarta, the fourth sentence. I shall give you food to eat and wine to drink. So I shall give food, this is the direct object, to you, dative indirect object, receiving the direct object. Why would I do such a thing? Oh, so that you may eat and I shall give you wine so that you may drink. So here we have so that you may eat and so that you may drink. I shall give you a direct object and another direct object. You're going to do this for the purpose of doing this to this direct object and for the purpose of doing this to this direct object. So the I shall give is going to be the first person singular future active indicative of do, dare, dedi, datus. So dabo, dabo, tibi, the dative of to, tibi dabo, kibum, the accusative of kibus e masculine, kibum. Why would I do that? Ut, so that, future tense. If this is future, we're in primary sequence, and we want this subjunctive verb to be, what's that? Say a little bit louder. All right, that's right, the present subjunctive. Very good. So edas, because it's so that you may eat, second person singular, edas, edo, edere, edi, essus, like edible, able to be eaten. So ed is the stem, and then os, add the a and then the s, edas. Et vinum, ut bibas, et vinum ut bibas, and wine, the direct object wine, to drink. And just to be clear, I will be giving you none of these things because you are underage. Bad kids. Sententia quinta, the fifth sentence. They fought long and fiercely in order to defeat a very powerful army of the Gauls. So they fought long and fiercely. So they fought. They did this action. Third person plural, perfect tense, happened in the past, active indicative, they did it actively, indicative, it did happen. They fought long and fiercely. These are adverbs. So because they describe the verb. It's how they fought. Adverbs, how they fought. Long. This is not long as in space, distance long. That's longos aom. This is long as in time. Time long. That's du. Du et, fiercely, take fierce, which is acer, acris, acre. Make it an adverb, acriter. Diu et acriter. Diu et acriter pugnaverunt. Why would they do such a thing? Oh, in order so that they may defeat a very powerful army of the Gauls. Ah, so we can have ut, so that they may defeat, so, or might defeat. So, fought, perfect tense, secondary sequence, to defeat. How about supero, superare, superavi, superatus? Or vinco, vincere, vici, victus. Let's use vinco, because it's a third conjugation. So that they might defeat. If we're in secondary sequence, because of this perfect tense verb, then we want to be in the imperfect subjunctive. So, so that they may defeat, might defeat. So, vincerent, vincerent, or superarent, superarent. And whom or what are they defeating? A very powerful army of the Gauls. A very powerful superlative adjective agreeing with army. So this is the direct object of the verb defeat. Army is exercitus os masculine. We want the accusative exercitum. And then we want potens potentis, make it superlative. Potentissimus aum, make it also accusative singular masculine to agree with exercitum. Potentissimum exercitum, or exercitum potentissimum. It's an army of the Gauls. You can say a very powerful Gallic army or an army of the Gauls. So you can say exercitum Gallorum potentissimum, exercitum potentissimum Gallorum, or exercitum Gallicum potentissimum. So we have secondary sequence followed by the imperfect subjunctive. Optime. Sex. No, it's sexta. Sententia sexta. Sententia sexta. I shall send my sister to the city to see the king and queen. I shall send. Future tense, first person singular, future active indicative. I shall send my sister, the accusative direct object of this verb send. Future tense, so we are in primary sequence of mitto, mittere, misi, misus. So we want mittam, mittam. It's a third conjugation. Don't use bo bis bit. Meam sororem, meam sororem. The accusative of mea soror, mea soror. So sororem meam, mittam sororem meam. Where am I sending my sister? That is to the city. She's going to the city. So motion towards ad plus the accusative. Motion towards urbs, orbis, feminine. We want urbem, ad urbem. Meam sororem ad urbem mittam. Why am I doing that? Why am I sending her there? Ah, so that she may see the king and the queen. So that we can use the adverbial purpose clause. Ut regem, the accusative direct object of rex regis masculine, et reginam, the accusative singular feminine direct object of regina I feminine. And then we want primary sequence, present subjunctive of video, videre, vidi, visus. And we're sending the sister to see the king and queen. So ut regem et reginam, or regem reginamque videat. Videat, the present subjunctive, because we're in primary sequence. I shall send my sister to the city. Ad urbem sororem mea mittam. Ut regem reginamque videat. If you don't want to use the adverbial flavor there, you can try the adjectival kind, a relative purpose clause. So I shall send my sister to the city so who may see the king and queen. And the who is referring back to the antecedent, the sister. Who may see the king and the queen. It's showing the purpose of the sister. That's to see the king and the queen. So replace the ut with a qui, quae, quod. So it has to agree with the feminine singular sister. So quae. Quae regem et reginam videat, or quae regem reginamque videat. Optime, sententia septima. I want to fight bravely, so that I may be equal to my father in boldness. I want to fight bravely, so I want to fight bravely. Our main verb is want. I want. You can use cupio, cupere, cupivi, cupitus, or you can use volo, velle, volui. The cool kids are using volo these days. I suggest you do so as well. So I want to fight. Takes a complementary infinitive. So pugno, pugnare, pugnavi, pugnatus. We want pugnare. Something like pugnare volo. Pugnare volo. I want to fight. How do I want to fight? I want to fight bravely. Adverb. How? Goes with the verb fight. We want brave, which is fortis forte. Make it an adverb. Fortiter. So, fortiter. Pugnare volo. Why would I want to do something like that? Oh, for the purpose of, so that I may be equal to my father in boldness. An adverb clause describing why I would want to do this action, because adverbs go with verbs, actions. Wow. So that I may be. I want to, present tense, primary sequence, so that ut I may be equal. May be, sim. We want the present subjunctive because we're in primary sequence. Ut sim equal. Let's use par paris, a one termination third declension adjective. Sim par takes the dative, equal to my father. Meo patri, the dative of pater patris masculine. In what way? In what way do you want to be equal to your father? In height? In great size? In what way? In ability? In skill? In smarts? In what way? In age? Do you want to be equal to your father? This is the ablative of specification. It specifies with the ablative case in what way this is true. In what way do you want to be equal to your father? In respect to boldness. So you want the ablative of audacia, I, feminine. So audacia with a macron over the final A. So altogether something like fortiter pugnare volo, ut par patri meo audacia sim. Optime, octava, sententia octava, number 8. The messenger ran very quickly to report to the centurion that the enemy were approaching the camp. Oh no, this is the worst time for that. So the messenger, the nuntius, nunti, masculine, singular masculine subject in the nominative case, because he's the subject, he's doing the action of the verb, which is ran. He ran, he did it, perfect tense, and he did it very quickly. How did he do it? Very quickly. So very quickly is an adverb describing the verb ran. To run is curro, currere, cucurri, cursus, and he ran. Perfect tense, third person singular, cucurrit, and it's the indicative because he did it. Cucurrit. And he ran very quickly, not just celer, celeres, celere, quick, that's an adjective, but quickly, celeriter, and not quite quickly, celerius, but superlative, very quickly. Celerime. Celerime nuntius cucurrit, or celerime cucurrit nuntius. Wow, why did he do that? So that, for the purpose of reporting to the centurion that the enemy were approaching the camp. To report, so that he may report. We have perfect tense here, so secondary sequence. Ut, to report. I'm going to go ahead and say renuntio, renuntiare, renuntiavi, renuntiatus. To report. Renuntiaret. Ut renuntiaret. We want the imperfect subjunctive because we're in secondary sequence. Ut renuntiaret. To the centurion. We're going to report to the centurion. That's going to take the dative indirect object. Renuntio plus the dative. You can report a thing, a direct object thing, to a dative indirect object. So the centurion is the indirect object, centurio, centurionis masculine, with the dative being centurioni. So ut centurioni nuntiaret. And then what did he report? What thing? Well, it turns out it's not just one noun. He didn't report a noun, a thing, a singular thing. He reported a whole clause. This is going to be an indirect statement. It's a noun clause because it corresponds to what? It answers the question, what did he report? That the enemy were approaching the camp. It acts like one big, long, accusative direct object of the verb report. So in Latin, the indirect statement, the subject of which will be in the accusative case, the enemy, hostes, the accusative plural masculine of hostis, hostis masculine. They were approaching the camp. It's happening at the same time as he reported to the centurion. So he runs. Imagine it. Use your imagination. He's running very quickly. He's out of breath. He reports to the centurion. Sir, centurion, oh my gosh, the enemy are right now approaching the camp. In the past, he reported that the enemy were at the same time approaching the camp. So this is contemporaneous. This action is happening at the same time, contemporaneously as the reporting. That means we want the present infinitive. Contemporaneous is present. We want the present infinitive of akkedo, akkedere, akkesi, akkessus. It's kedo plus ad, akkedo. They're approaching akkedere, the ad castra. Good job. Akkedere ad castra. Ad plus the accusative motion towards castra. Remember, castra-orum is always neuter, always plural. So the accusative is castra. So we have altogether something like calerime cucurret nuntius, ut centurioni nuntiaret, hostes ad castra accedere. You could also exchange the ut for qui if you don't like the adverbial purpose clause to use the adjectival kind. Sentence 9. Let my father come as soon as possible to lead me back to my native land. Yep, any day now. Any day now, he's coming back to lead me to my native land. So, let my father come. Look at this. We have a main verb, let my father come as soon as possible. Why? So that he may lead me back to my native land. The main verb, let my father come, is an independent subjunctive. Here we have a jussive. Wow! We have a jussive, which is a third-person singular present subjunctive. That means primary sequence. Present subjunctive falls under primary sequence. So the dependent subjunctive verb will be present subjunctive as well. Let my father come as soon as possible. So, pater, veniat, as soon as possible is quam, quam primum. Quam primum, as firstly as possible. Quam primum. Sometimes it's written as one single word. Quam primum. Quam primum pater veniat, or quam primum veniat pater. Meos pater, my father. Pater nobis, the father to me. To lead me back to my native land, so that he may lead me back to my native land. We already said we're in primary sequence. We want the present subjunctive of duco, ducere, duxi, ductus. So ducat. Ut ducat me. Ut me ducat. So he may lead me back. Let's add a re to that duco. Ut me reducat. Ad meam patriam. Ad meam patriam. To my native land. Ut me reducat ad meam patriam. Optime, that was sententia nona, nona, the 9th. And this is decima, sententia decima, the 10th. These boys will read many books in order to learn as much as possible about the moon and the stars. These boys, how about these boys right here? These ones right here. Hic haec hoc is here. He, pueri, nominative plural masculine, the subject of the verb will read in the future tense. They will read, third person plural of lego, legere, legi, lectus. So he, pueri, legent, legent. Remember, it's a third conjugation, so legent. The present would be legunt with a unt, legent with an ent, legent. He, pueri, legent, Many books accuse a direct object, multus a homme, and liber libri masculine, multos libros. Second declension. So he pueri multos libros legent. Now, why would they want to do a silly thing like that? Well, in order to learn as much as possible about the moon and the stars, so that they may learn. So we have future indicative for the main verb, will read. We're in primary sequence, so we want the present subjunctive of learn. So let's use cognosco, cognoscere, cognovi, cognitus. So we want the present subjunctive cognosc plus a, and then cognoscant. Cognoscant, so they may learn, find out as much as possible. As many things as possible. So quam primum, or I'm sorry, quam as much as possible is quam plurimum. Quam plurimum. As soon as possible is quam primum. This is quam plurimum, the superlative, much. Superlative of multus is plurimus a homme. Quam plurimum. About the moon and the stars. About is day, the preposition de, day, plus the ablative, moon and stars. Luna, with a macron over the a, et stellis, from stella, I, feminine, stellis. Hi pueri multos libros legent, ut quam plurimum de luna et stellis, or de luna stellisque, cognoscant. Optime. Very well done. That wraps it up for chapter 44, exercise C. Optime. Volete omnes.